I originally worked at Tampa's Lowry Park Zoo for 27 years. So my background is in the zoo field, and I've worked with many animals, and probably the niche for me was manatees and rehabilitation. Taking care of animals when they're injured and sick and helping them get better and being able to release them back to the wild is a really exciting thing. I think in general everybody's hoping that with coming to South Florida Museum that I'll be able to help grow the program here and be a bigger part of the Manatee Rehabilitation Partnership and open up some of the doors a little bit for us to do more and offer more to that program and to manatees. I've become very familiar with many of the people who work with manatees and in the zoo field in general. So lots of good resources, lots of like-minded people who want to help animals and help manatees. So just being able to grow those relationships and open that up a little more for South Florida Museum. There are folks who go out and rescue manatees, and what they generally see with a red-tide manatee is that those animals are in distress by thrashing around in the water. Manatees need to come up for a breath. Red tide can cause paralysis in them. So first finding them in the water is holding their head up to make sure they can get a breath, and then once they reach a critical care facility that they need, it depends on the manatee, but usually 24 to 48 hour care, round-the-clock care, to help them while they're passing that toxin through their system, that they seizure. You need to hold up their head so they can get a breath. We usually put them in a life jacket and support their head, but that has to be monitored so that the animals are safe. So it's a overnight commitment of many people doing many shifts to just make sure that those animals are cared for and safe overnight. Sometimes you're tired when you know it's your shift and it's 2 in the morning, but you get in there and you're holding a manatee's head up, and it's all so worth it. And the day that we get to take that manatee back out and in a stretcher and put it back out in the wild, you know you've done a really good thing to help them. And lots of people love manatees, so we do it for them too. There were great bones already here at the aquarium and with their rehab program, and I'm going to expand on what they've been doing. We want to make sure and share a message that there's a focus on rehab and rehabilitation and what that program is, and tell guests about it. And we've been starting to do that, and it's really well received, and people love the idea of helping the manatees get better and releasing them back to the wild. That they could meet a manatee now, and a year from now they may not see that manatee because it's back out in the wild. So getting that message out to folks and building that here and sharing that more with them and letting them know manatees need help and the ways that they can do that themselves. A big part of what we do as second stage is for smaller animals, younger animals, is setting them up for success in the wild, and that goes for the adults too. So there's some processes to that. If you're a young animal and you're rescued as an orphan, maybe you don't understand the wild. So we want to make sure they do, and it's how we feed them. That we use some devices that show them that they need to eat food from the bottom. We offer them natural diet, and we don't interact with anybody. We want them to be wild going out as they were when they came in, and we want young impressionable animals to be manatees, so we want them to hang around the other manatees so that when they go out, we know that we're doing the best we can to ensure their success out there. Once they go, they may be monitored, but it's a big world out there, and it's a dangerous world. We want them to understand it as best they can and do the best that they can out there. We want everyone to know that we want to continue great manatee work and take care of manatees, and that we want them to be a part of that. So coming here and seeing these animals and learning about the manatee program and taking that outside the zoo to their family and friends too is really what we're looking for. Just spread the message about manatees and the kind of help they need.